All right, before we start the show, I just want to take a moment to thank all the new patrons that we got this week. And if you can, please take a minute just to check out our revamped Patreon page. It costs £3 a month to join. It's literally 10p a day. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a bonus episode every week where you'll get a chance to ask the guests your own questions. There's a lot of fun. You're also going to get access to our exclusive Storytime episodes with Jonas Lorentzen. If you haven't checked those out, definitely do. They're a lot of fun, and you also get a full back catalogue on Patreon that you can access as soon as you sign up. There's a lot of awesome people on our Discord server. We've got a little community over there, and you also get exclusive discounts of NMP merch and Horns of Odin merch. You can cancel at any time, and you'll also get access for the rest of the month. And I know I talk about Patreon a lot, but it's literally the way that we keep the lights on. It pays for all the work behind the scenes. We've got editing, we've got artwork, we've got someone who looks after the social media, Bob who books the guests, all these people to look after. And that's where the Patreon money goes. So if you can, please just take a minute to pop over to patreon.com/Nordic Mythology podcast. And just have a look, see if there's anything that takes your fancy. Like I say, it's £3 a month. It's like buying me a cup of coffee. And on top of that, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and a positive review wherever you get your podcasts. Again, that helps us get discovered in new charts, helps people find the podcast. It really does help boost the show. Now, it sounds like a trivial thing, just leaving a 5-star rating. It takes 30 seconds for you to do, but it really does help us just keep growing and keep just turning up on new charts for people to discover. And then we've got a YouTube channel where if you go on there, you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, and you're going to get notified every time we drop any new content. And obviously, you can just follow us on all the social media platforms, just at Nordic Mythology Podcast. And I think that's it. So we can jump into the show. So my usual opener is welcome to the Nordic Mythology Podcast. I'm Daniel Farrand, owner of the company Horns of Odin. And today I am joined by Nathan Zilka and Anne Rhoades of the Cascadian Midsummer Festival. Did I get that right?
Hello. Yes.
You got it right.
I got it right.
You did great.
Oh, what an intro. Because what happens is I always forget to put the little reads for Patreon and everything like that right until the end. And then I know everybody turns off. I'm not stupid. I know that as soon as everybody hears us rounding up, they just stop the episode. I need to get better at putting it at the start or like in the middle somewhere and just kind of plug it, because I know people turn off. Okay, Anne, you were nominated to go first. Nathan kindly passed the baton over to you. Said you can tell us a little bit about the festival and get us rolling.
So Cascadian Midsummer is a summer solstice festival happening in rural Washington, kind of halfway between Seattle and Portland. And it's on the Red Hawk Avalon property. It's been held there for, I think, almost a decade. Nathan, I think that's
2014 was the first year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's existed in some form. It's had different names. Used to be Thirst for Light and Litha Cascadia. And this year we have Cascadian Midsummer as the name. And so it is run all by volunteers. We have a collective of 8 people called the Red Hawk Festival Collective. And this is our first year in charge of running the festival. So it's like a metal folk festival, kind of a blend of the two. And we have like speakers and workshops, and we do rituals every evening during the fire lighting ceremony. It's a great community of folks. It's been growing slowly, but now we're looking at really expanding this year. We've got a lot more interest, and we're pretty excited about it.
I saw the people. Everyone who listens to this will know Matthias Nordvig is going to be doing a speech there. Am I right? Or doing a talk?
Yep. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's speaking, and I believe he'll be there vending.
Oh,
well.
How exciting!
Yeah,
Wonderful. No, obviously, anybody that listens to this knows Matthias and knows, obviously, how good he is at everything he does. So that's always going to be fun and get people to come and check that out. So where should we start? Because I know you said you have a lot of things to say about the ground itself, where it is, and then we can obviously talk about the festival and what you do. And we're going to as we go on, we're going to try and look at how people and how, I guess, not just people, but companies apply Nordic mythology, the Viking Age in modern day, because it can be applied in all different ways. And it is something that we see. It feels like at the minute, every other company you see is Viking something. Like I've seen like Viking plumbers, Viking, like there's food that's just Viking. Like it seems there's there's a lot of things out there. I don't know if you get that over in the USA as well.
It's quite a popular branding right now. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so where should we start? What do you want to? Maybe should we start with the grounds? Because I know the Nathan, you seem quite excited to tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Red Hawk Avalon, the name of the piece of land that this is on, it's out in the backside of the coastal range in Washington, and it's just a really special piece of land. The festival, all the stages are in the woods, so you're listening to metal under these ancient cedars dripping with moss. You know, late at night, there's a river running by. You know, it's an event and a space unlike anything else I've ever experienced, and it's just a really magical place. And I think this festival again has had different incarnations. This is our third incarnation, and it really is about coming to that land and celebrating at midsummer. And there's a whole community of people who've been doing that since 2014. And it's just a magical place.
Mm-hmm. Nice. It sounds it, I guess, especially with festivals when it's around kind of anything heathen, pre-Christian, the location does mean a lot. It has obviously Midgard's is the kind of one that everyone looks at, and that they're obviously situated on a burial ground, obviously like a Viking Age burial ground. It's very atmospheric. You kind of feel that whether it's placebo or not, whether you knowing where you are kind of adds to it, or there is a genuine connection that comes through. But it's certainly there. You feel it, and I guess surrounded by these ancient cedars, you're going to get that similar sort of feeling.
Absolutely. You know, there is the history of this land is, has a lot of tragedy involved, unfortunately. The first peoples who lived there were the Willapa people, and it's also known as the Willapa Hills, I believe, and they're all gone. That tribe no longer exists. Mm-hmm. They were decimated by disease. And the land actually had a town on it for a while, with a large Japanese community involved. And that also passed away. That town got wiped out, and now it's just the farm and it carries a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy there that you pick up on, and it really adds to the festival in my experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a topic we can tangent off to on itself, is this idea of places having energy. Because I've often wondered, and we touched on it a couple of weeks ago with Claire Moulet when we were looking at more like ghost stories, but then I can't remember if it was in the Q&A after or if it was in the main show where we'd talk about this idea of places having a feeling, there's something to them. And again, like I just said with Midgard's Walk a couple of minutes ago, like whether it's knowing where you're going gives you that feeling, or the place itself has energy. It's an interesting topic, and obviously if you're doing rituals there as well, it's all going to accumulate.
You know, I think that, you can. I don't think that you need to ascribe it to a spiritual significance. Personally, I do. I have that experience, but I think that there's just an experience of being in nature, and in different places in nature having a different experience. And sometimes that there's just something, whether it's the pheromones from the moss and the trees and everything else, or whether it's the connection to the ancestors, I think that's up to each individual to come up with what they want to express that as. But there is something there, however you want to experience it.
Yeah, perfect. So I guess my first main question is, with it being native ground, and I assume, or traditionally native ground, and I assume a lot of the people that are going there are heathen, whether it's Norse, kind of North pagan, or whatever flavor. Then I assume most people are heathen. How do you kind of, because I assume that you very much want to pay respect to the native land, and do you take time to do that in the rituals? Because I imagine most of the rituals might be more Nordic or other themed. So how does that work? Anne, I don't know if you want to take that one.
So we're working with right now we're working with the local tribe that still, is existing in the area. And we're asking them to do like a land blessing and then be part of our opening ceremony for the festival. That's incredibly important to us. And then from there, we can have different kinds of rituals throughout the other nights. I think we've got Alana is doing one on the Velaspa, and so she'll be reciting that. Nathan can tell you more about her performance. And then we've got our closing performance will be a group called Council of the Gallows, and they're doing a piece on Fenris. And so, and they vary every year. And they're not always heathen or like Nordic, pagan, or whatever you want to say for that. They can vary. The entire community is made up of people that are spiritual in all aspects. And a lot of like atheists and things like that, and they still come, and it's just a big celebration, and it's really like honoring the land and midsummer and the bonfire, which is always enormous. And so that's really,
these festivals always have to have a giant bonfire. There has to be.
Yeah. I think we're even making it bigger this year. So, but yeah, so it can vary year to year, and everyone is, we're a community of makers and people that just come every year to celebrate. So, yeah.
And just hang out and have a good time, I guess. So it seems that this year seems to be maybe more Nordic mythology themed with the Voluspa and like a Fenris. But you said that maybe it's not always like that. It can be other things, and it's just this year seems to be more down that route.
Yeah. Nathan has done a ritual for us as well, one year, and that was more heathen. But I believe we've had like a performance on like Hecate and other sort of pagan gods and goddesses, and we've had musical performances as rituals as well. So it really varies.
Good. Yeah, it always feels like these heathen festivals are always more inclusive than any other, because you get people from all walks of life, and they can be like say atheists, agnostics, they can be Wiccan, Norse pagan, they can be anything, Muslim, Jewish. Everyone can come there and have a good time together. But I just feel like that wouldn't happen at like a Christian festival. It would be very focused heavily on, okay, come and have a good time. Sure, yes, you're welcome. But by the way, have you heard about our Lord Jesus Christ Savior? Is that right? Our Lord Savior Jesus Christ? Whatever the words are. But it feels like it's very preachy in that sense. Whereas festivals like this, it's just, fuck it, come everyone have a good time. Whatever you like, whatever you're into, it doesn't matter. You kind of leave your egos at the door let's all have fun. Everyone's welcome, everyone's included. And then, but like you say, you get like these aspects where you're doing, the reading of the voice, but everybody will respectfully listen, regardless of what their personal belief is. So it feels like it's not always. Do you ever have you ever had any issues on that topic of like inclusivity or any? Because obviously you always do get the white supremacists in this world. Do you ever get that when it comes to the festival? Have you ever had issues?
I mean, we're expressly inclusive, and we are going, if anybody is showing up with espousing or doing anything white supremacist, they're going to be asked to leave. This is an inclusive festival. It's, there's plenty of people on the committee who would not say that this is a Nordic a Nordic pagan festival. It just happens that like more than half of the committee happens to be Nordic pagan. So we're going to have that. That's going to be part of what we do. But we want everybody there comfortable. We want everybody involved, and we don't, except we don't actually want everybody, because if you're a white supremacist, if you're into, that stuff, we're not interested. We want people to be comfortable, and those, that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Yeah, the right kind of people, though. Because
exactly.
But we can talk about that a little bit later. After, when it comes to applying this stuff into everyday and into the modern world, because unfortunately there is a decent sized group of people that attach themselves to this, and it's not exclusively in America, but there is a big chunk of people over there, or you certainly seem to see a lot of publicized media from kind of over that side of the pond, as we say in England. I don't know why we say that. Do you guys say the same about us, or is that just a British thing?
We say it. I've heard, I hear the expression all the time, but it seems directional. It's you coming from your side to our side. I don't hear it coming the other way, but.
No, yeah, we're just a small little island, aren't we? Fuck it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's always a phrase. I wonder where it came from, like across the pond. It's a big fucking pond. It is a big land. Okay, so I'm just looking at your list that you gave me of things that we should touch on. So I guess other than do you get to camp around the Cedars? Is it a camping festival? How does that work?
Yes.
Because I'd
you
love
want
to
to take this one?
Yeah. If you're okay with it, I can go over a quick what a day will look like for everybody.
Sure, yeah. Absolutely.
So you can camp in the forest, or you can camp we have there's a large field, and then you can also camp in your car in the parking lot, or a lot of people bring in campers or things like that. The camping in the forest is limited, so generally it gets scooped up pretty quickly, and that's just because we have a bunch of trees everywhere, and there's only so many places you can put a tent. And we want, yeah.
The cedars are big. I don't know.
Cedars are big.
How many people have ever had the chance to see a royal cedar? But or an ancient royal cedar, ancient cedar. Like they're fucking big things.
Yeah. And in ferns, we have a lot of ferns, which are almost as tall as I am sometimes in the forest, and I'm a little over 5 foot, so they're up there. And they're in the way of your tent, and so there's a certain spaces in the forest you can camp. A lot of people camp out in the field in groups. So you'll come on Friday, hopefully in the morning and the afternoon, and you'll set up your tent. And your sort of like kitchen area. You need to bring in, your own water and your own food, so you can cook. And from there, we have like speakers and workshops during the day. And anywhere from, I think we're starting some at like 9 a.m. on Saturday until 3 or so. And then we'll have bands that start, where we've got more acoustic bands in the early evening before the ritual and dinner. And then after a couple of those bands, then you have dinner hour, which is just a time where nothing's going on except dinner. And so you can go back to your camp and you can cook with your friends, and it's a socializing time, and no one's trying to hurry through something. You can actually like cook a big meal for people, and it's nice. And then after that,
that's a great idea, because not many festivals think of that. And you get to, when the show starts maybe 1 p.m. and then it's constant all the way through till 11 p.m., 12, midnight. And there isn't really that time dedicated to, look, just go and eat. Go and make sure you get things. Because obviously there's alcohol being drunk. There's probably other substances floating about, whether they're meant to be there or not. They always are. And people, need that time to just go away and go and eat something and look after yourself and just, because so many people don't. But don't drink enough water, don't eat enough food.
Yeah. Yep. And it's so important to have like a little bit of a break too, because there are 2 stages in the woods, and there is nowhere on the property that you can really escape the music. And so just having like a decompression time of like, okay, it's quiet, I can eat some food, and then we get back to it. And after the dinner hour is our fire lighting ceremony and ritual that we do for that's an hour slot. And then you get straight into more of like the metal bands for the rest of the evening. And that goes until midnight. And then after midnight, it's just go hang out around the fire and socialize until you're ready to go to bed. And, the biggest joke we get, or comment, I guess we get, is that since there's no cell service out there, people walk away from the festival and they go, I didn't get any photos because they left their phone in the tent or in the car because they don't need it. And they were just living in the moment. It also makes it difficult when, folks are like, did anyone get any photos of me at the festival? No. We've all just been,
That could be good sometimes. I know, when I've had a little bit to drink, I'm glad that people haven't got their phones around. Is that intentional that there's no phone signal, or is that just how it is?
Just how it is. And because of that, for vendors, there will be quite a number of vendors at the event. You have to bring cash because they can't use any sort of like card readers, reading devices, because they have no service. So there's a warning we have to make sure we tell everybody, please bring cash. There will be so many things you want to buy.
And how many people don't bring cash? It must, every year it still must happen.
There's a town not too far away, so if they want to run in and use a ATM, they have that option. And I just want to add in, like, we're actually, for a variety of reasons, most of them legal, we are not serving alcohol this year or food. So we are encouraged, everybody is encouraged to bring their own. This is, you don't have to pay for overpriced booze. You bring your own, have as good of a time as you like. And
I just sat up in my seat a second there. I was like, okay, what's this madness?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it definitely helps people out from buying. Because obviously festivals are always super expensive, but it's there's usually a reason behind it. You guys can attest festivals aren't cheap to put on.
No.
So, okay, the no signal thing fascinates me. That's, I think, even if it's unintentional, I think it's brilliant, because I'm probably one of the worst for it. I've got my head in my phone all the time. I'm the asshole, and I don't mean for it to be me, but I'm always that asshole who's at like the counter and I'm looking at my phone, and the person behind the counter is like, would you like chips with that? Or would you like, because obviously I'm British, we have chips with everything, but would you like, I don't know, would you like a bag or whatever? And I'm like, pardon, excuse me, say that again. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just that obviously with running a business, sometimes the only time I get to do things other than because I'm spending my day carving, I'm like, oh, I need to like look on Instagram. I need to do this, and it's so fast paced that I'm just that asshole. And then I catch myself, and I'm like, I did it today in Morrison's. The lady asked me, and I was like looking at my phone, and I had to ask you to repeat yourself. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like it's so rude for me to just be here on my phone, but we do it. And I was driving the other day, and I made a conscious effort to like look at how many people were walking down the road on the phone. And as I was doing it, two people almost walked into each other because they were both looking at their phones. And we just live in this, technological society, and it's great, but it also has just destroyed so much. So to go there and not have the option, it's like there's nothing you can do about it. You have to just be there in the moment. That must add to the experience.
It really does. And the first day you have that sort of that, I don't know, habit we have of checking our phone all the time. So you'll grab it a few times to look at your notifications or something. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. And by the second day, it sort of fades away. And but if you do like to take photos at events, everyone will thank you, because that's always a requested request made after the festival. And we have a Facebook group that you can join for photo sharing after the event. So it's always appreciated.
This is where you say the Facebook group.
So if you look up Cascadian Midsummer, you'll find our public page, and then you'll also find a group. So you just click that one to join. Everyone's invited. We just keep it private to prevent, spam.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and they still sneak past. Our group is they still sneak past, still get people from India trying to sell knives on there. I'm like, how did you get past our high level security? They do. So how long do you think it takes people to get out of the fear of missing? Because I get it, if my phone dies, I panic. Like I'm overwhelmed with and it is bad. It is. The more I'm saying it out loud, I'm more kind of embarrassed of myself. Of I get this fear for the first half an hour, maybe, of oh my God, everything in the world that could possibly go wrong is going wrong right now. And everybody's trying to get hold of me. Everybody's missing me. And I turn my phone on and no one gives a fuck about me. But that's what I'm thinking in the moment. And I guess that must be the same way, you can't do anything.
I mean, I think that's one of the beauties of this is it's an immersive event. I definitely find that my phone won't even be on me, but I'll feel it ring on my leg or something, right? And I'll reach for it and I'm like, I don't even have it. But I still is it there? But
it's like phantom pain.
Exactly. But you get into this place of just being where you are in this place. And that's one of the things it contributes to, getting back to the energy of it. It has an energy of being there that allows you to be present.
Yeah. Which we overlook daily, I think. And, we, even though it's tough, because obviously, Anne, you have a very fascinating Instagram profile, and obviously it's very kind of out in nature and beautiful and secluded, but it's always behind the camera there's always tons of shit going on. So it's, whilst it looks very secluded, it's still not, and but you still have to you have to play the game for Instagram, for social media. You have to play this game. So even all these shots of oh, look at me, I'm in nature, it's not always quite that simple. And I'm not by means, I'm not knocking you. It's the same for everybody. I do it. I'm clearly, it's I'll take Rocco for a walk and we're on top of a mountain and I'm like, look at me, I'm out in nature. And it's yeah, but I'm taking the pictures for everybody to see on this little thing that I have to carry with me everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird feeling sometimes, posting hiking videos and just nature shots on social media, and sort of it's wonderful to share it, but it does feel a little strange sometimes. But when you've got two dogs, you gotta go out in nature on a regular basis, or else they're not happy, and we're not happy. So
no, and you've got to have at least 50% of your camera reel has to be pictures of the dogs doing silly things.
Probably more. I've got a 5-month-old Alaskan Malamute right now, so it's just mostly puppy photos and videos.
Yeah, absolutely. I can attest for that. Oh, Rocco has his own Instagram, so it's Mr. Rocco if everybody wants to follow, by the way. See, I've been doing it long enough now, and I can just plug stuff randomly. No, he's a little feature. He jumps on my knee quite often, and people seem to fall in love with him. Okay, so you also have so you got workshops there. What kind of workshops? Because Nathan, you're a blacksmith?
I am a blacksmith. I ritually hand forge jewelry is mostly, and so I'm a jeweler and a blacksmith, and mostly what I forge is jewelry. And I'm not doing, since I'm running the festival, we're going to have a booth for the committee members. So I'll be selling some of my wares, but that's one of the main ways I've connected with the festival in the past. But vending won't be my main focus this year, because it'll be just making sure everything's running smoothly. But we got a native plant workshop, plant walk workshop, and there's a TV show called Alone, and we have a guy from one of the seasons who came in second place, Biko, who's going to be doing some fire making workshops, and he's going to have a booth and for people to come by and talk to him and stuff like that.
Oh wow, sounds like a lot of things that people can learn, because I feel like we've lost that ability to know what's what. You could put me in the woods and I wouldn't have a clue what berries I could or couldn't eat. And I'm going to sound like an asshole and name drop now, but like when I was out walking with Aina Selvik in Norway, we went for a walk, me, Aina, and Alyssa, and he was just like picking these little berries up and eating them, and I'm like, man, I would dare do that, because it's not turning out good for me. If I did that, it's not ending well. I'm going to be on the toilet for the next week.
We, one of the communities the community that I came through into this festival was the ancestral skills community. So there is a lot of folks who are associated with the festival who practice ancestral skills, from flint knapping and, hide tanning and all of the survival skills, bushcraft skills. That's definitely one of the Venn diagram circles of community. Those folks are in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I have to ask you about, because what is it, ritually handcrafted?
Yes. So
I have to ask you about the ritual part is what intrigues me. I have to, bring that up.
So, I think that there is, when it comes to Nordic paganism, my reading and my understanding, there's what we know, and then there's this vast amount we don't know, right? Mm-hmm. That there just isn't stuff. So what I do, I would fall under like unverified personal gnosis. It's my interpretation of things based on what's written, but also a lot of what's not. So as an example, Thursday, I've got an altar to Thor in my shop. So when I forge my Mjolnirs, I make offerings to Thor, and then before I forge, and then as I'm forging, there's a lot of different magical traditions where singing is involved. So my take on Galder is that when the steel is past non-magnetic heat-wise. So you've heated it up to the point where the crystals in the steel have gone into solution. That's when I feel it might be receptive, because steel's a pretty non-receptive substance. So as I'm forging at that point, I rune chant and sing into the work a request for, and I also make offerings to E3 and Broker, as well as Thor. And so I forge into the work a request for the blessing of the hammer, that it be connected to the original Mjolnir. I sing runes into it and I sing runes of protection into everything, just because like you just sprinkle that stuff, protection on everything, it doesn't hurt. And so, I mean, it's a spiritual practice for me to do this.
I love that. Yeah, I love that you've got that deeper connection to it. And I don't know, I think whether people have the same beliefs as you, or whether they're atheist or whatever, I think just the love that you put into it, and the understanding and the passion that goes into it, that goes through it, it transcends all kind of religious beliefs. And in my opinion, anyway, I think it really does just kind of bring a different life to you. And I was looking at your Instagram earlier. You make some beautiful things. You take some good photos. I might steal some of those little ideas there for.
I have to give photo credit to my partner Ilana. She is the photographer on everything. She does all of that work. I am not that
pictures.
So I will let her know you think she takes great pictures, and I think she takes great pictures. Also, I'm going to plug my Instagram since we're here. Zilka, Zilka _ForgeWorks, and it's WERKS. And you can go to the banner and go to my Etsy shop if you're interested. But she takes beautiful photos and does a great job, and that's a huge help to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can definitely feel your pain on that, because I'll make something, and I'll be really proud, because I'm carving horns all day, but there'll be one that I'm like really proud. I feel like it's really well, like the lines are all really neat, but then they go to Eddie, who will polish them and kind of finish them up, and then beeswax them. I'm like, I want to get a picture of that. And then before I know it, I've forgotten, because I've got something else to do. And then it's sent out to the customer. And I have all these lovely things that I make, and I just forget to photo them or to film them. And it's quite sad. I mean, obviously they're going on to the final owner, who's going to love and cherish them. But sometimes as well as I do, like, you do have a connection to everything you make. It doesn't matter whether you make 1 Mjolnir or you make 5,000 Mjolnirs. By the time you're finished, you will have probably made into the thousands. But everyone has a meaning to you, because you've put your sweat and hard work into it, and you've crafted it from nothing. And it does have a personal meaning to you. They genuinely do.
Absolutely. And that's, I think that, as a fellow craftsman, this, you're making something for a person to have an experience with for as long as they have that item, and hopefully the rest of their life, right? Like, a lot of people are going to wear this jewelry, have that, they're going to drink from that horn. This is their experience, and you're putting yourself into this. And, my process is to make this as literally magical as possible, right? I want to make magic items. I want to put myself and as much energy and magic into this as I can, whatever they believe, whatever they, there are people who, it looks pretty. That's fine. That's great. If that is fine. But there's plenty of other people who don't know the process and don't know the story, but they'll pick something up. And I bet this happens with your horns. They'll pick it up and they will feel something, right? They'll pick up the thing and they'll like, whoa, okay, like there's something here. And yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We trade at quite a few Comic Cons, and you get people from all walks of life there. People who have no interest in this stuff, but they'll just, because it's something you don't see very often, they come over and have a look, and then they'll pick up like a horn mug, and then they'll just be there spinning it in their hand, and they'll be feeling it, and they'll be like, "This just feels good." And I was like, "Yeah," because you can just feel I guess you could feel like the craftsmanship, the quality of them, but also like it's just something natural. How many of us hold, I've got a fucking plastic beaker here that I've got my water in. That's also my protein shaker. But like so many of us just drink out of like these things that aren't natural. So when you do have something that is very, very raw, because kind of then it's a horn.
Yeah.
You don't get much more natural than that.
Well, and it is, I think that there is a real difference in things that are made by hand, and even if we're using electric tools or something like that, to carve or whatever, it's still being done by a person, and it's got all the little special things that happen when you do something by hand that gives it energy and gives it life and gives it uniqueness, and those things matter.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Oh, you do always, you just made me think, like, you do always get that arsehole who's like, yeah, but you're using an electric carver, or I guess with you, like, you maybe using like a power hammer, like a hydraulic press or something. It's like, yeah, but you use it. It's like, fuck off. It's still by hand. Like, what do you want? Do you think that, somebody in the Viking Age 1,000 years ago, if you gave them the option of having these modern tools, of course they would use them.
Absolutely. And, and they did. I mean, you'll see these old water power hammers, right? That are, water mills, and they're just this massive log with a little piece of metal on it. You can find these things online, and they're, I don't know, they're not Viking Age. They're a little older than that, but tools that you use I am hand hammering with a hammer. I got a 3-pound hammer that I am forging everything with. But I do also have a press, to your point, and there are things that I need to, use the press for to keep things moving along. I'm still putting myself into all this stuff. I'm still chanting into this stuff. I'm singing into this stuff. And I do think that as craftspeople, we get to use modern tools, and it's still handmade.
Mm-hmm. Because you have to find that balance of price point as well. At the end of the day, we make these because we have to sell them, and it's like,
exactly.
Okay, I'll make it by hand. I'll scratch all the carvings in, but are you going to pay the money for it? Because it's going to take me at least 10 times longer. So you're going to pay 10 times the price, and then the answer is no. I'm not paying for that.
No.
No, use the Dremel. It's a good idea. A good tool.
Exactly.
So exactly. I think this is a good little segue into discussing kind of how people interpret the pagan, not just because the festival isn't strictly Norse pagan. I think we can apply it to kind of all mythology. But obviously, I know more about Nordic mythology, but just how applying this stuff into modern day, into the modern era, because there are ways, we can the saga stories, there are the Havamal, there's tons of things in there we can read and apply today. There's Ragnarok, but also you see companies adopting it left, as we said earlier on the show, you get companies adopting it left, right, and center. But I guess the reason I would think is that it's when most people, because I always try to think in the eyes of like a layperson who's not kind of in this like we are, that I would say as soon as you say Viking, it's like it's a strong name. It's like, ooh, Viking, yeah. That's a fucking good sandwich. That's a Viking sandwich. Like that's why I think they use it. I don't know. What do you think, Anne?
Yeah. Uh, I guess we use it like day to day. I it's become so normal for me that I just don't even notice it half the time. I recently was going through a job hunt, and that involved a lot of rituals to get the job that I wanted, or at least to aid in that search. And there's different, gods that you call upon, or goddesses, depending on what I was seeking for or what I was looking for. And it just becomes so, I don't know, just part of my day. I wake up and light the candles on my altar. We have like our gods of the house, which is for us, it's Skadi and Tyr. And we just are always making offerings to them and asking them to aid us in day-to-day life in the ways that they see fit, and sort of just leave that up to them. And when I was searching for a job, it was just, calling upon at the time, like Odin, just as sort of this, like, I felt like I was just wandering around looking for something, not sure which direction I was going. And I just wanted some sort of companionship in that and guidance. And if I didn't get the job, then I don't know, I just sort of felt like that's what was supposed to happen, and I'll find something better. And so these things, even when you're hiking, you can constantly be in that mindset of what sort of like spirits or beings are out here while I'm hiking. Just noticing little things a lot more. You notice the tree that's fallen, and you can see its roots when you're in that mindset. You can appreciate that and what it's doing and how it's decomposing in the forest, and feeding life. And you can find bones and dead animals or whatever you might find out on the trails, and just appreciate this sort of circle of life that they're creating, and you're able to witness. And then it also creates such a companionship when you meet other folks that are sort of pagan or pagan adjacent, and there's this like trust and family feeling, kindred feeling that comes about that. And you can just be playing D&D together, and all of you are just, nerds about, paganism. And so it makes a D&D party a little bit more fun. But also you just trust each other, and you can always like know that someone's going to be there to help you if need be. Yeah. And so, yeah.
One of us.
Not in the, not in a cult way. We were joking about that the other day. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, but
no, it is. I guess it's almost. You almost get an us against them feeling with like. Certainly online, I've noticed this with like pagan Abrahamic faiths. It's almost like this. It kind of seeps into it, like we all have to stick together, and it's like heathenism is growing. It's getting more and more popular. It really is kind of getting new life and just sort of coming back around. People are starting to, I think, partly maybe down to COVID as well. Like people are getting back into nature where they had time to actually go out and enjoy time with their friends, their family, although it was forced. They probably hated it to start with, but as it went on, they were going out for walks because it was the only little bit of freedom you got out of your house and being in nature. And like, oh, this is actually maybe where I'm meant to be. This is quite nice, actually.
Yeah. And I think even, no matter what your spirituality or religion is, or non-religion, I think most people appreciate nature. I think there's maybe a few folks out there that would prefer a concrete jungle, but I think a lot of people can at least appreciate nature and what it has to offer, and find a lot of comfort in it, no matter what it means to you.
Yeah, my best friend's like that. Like we'll all go for a walk, and they'll be like, "No, I don't do walking." What do you mean you don't do walking? It's like, we're just not outdoorsy people. I'm like, oh, come on, man, it's good. It's good. It's nice out there. It's really nice. Just come. And then when they do come, they really enjoy it. Have a blast. But next week, nah, we're not really outdoors yet. But I don't know. People, different. It'd be boring if everyone was the same.
Yeah, the Pacific Northwest, and Nathan can talk to this as well. Last year was brutal a little at the festival. It was constant rain and cold in June. It's called January here, and everyone was damp for almost the entire festival. But it was still a great time. It made the bonfire even more important. And so out here, it's incredible how many people you'll just see out hiking and it's downpouring. And they just have rain gear on, no umbrellas, and just going through it and appreciating it. And but it also makes the sun that much more important when it does come out. And summer solstice is so important to us because it's a time where the rain kind of pulls back for a bit, and we get to enjoy the warmth and the sun. But if you are intending on coming to the festival, please prepare for rain. It's 50-50. Sometimes we get really warm, sunny years. Sometimes we just get nonstop rain. Sometimes we get a mix. So
sounds very British. Just prepare for all weather. Every type of weather, just you need to be covered no matter what.
You would feel very at home here.
I'm sure I would. I mean, I would love to come to the festival. So I'm going to have to definitely look at that. So it really, really does fascinate me. This idea of, first of all, being away from my phone, I would love that. Not having to think about the business, not being, because that's the thing, is not being able to. Nathan, like, you can attest for this. When you're a small business, you're always panicking about something, whether it's you're looking at the Instagram insights and like, why is my Instagram not doing as good? Why have I lost 2 followers? Why is this happened? Or, there's something going wrong, a bit of machinery breaks. There's always something. So to have that time where it's like, because that's the only time I'm ever really away from it, is where it's forced away from me, where it's like, it's not my choice anymore. It's taken out of my hands. And I think that would be really healthy for not just me, for so many other people to have that option just taken away. And it's like, it's because it is how it used to be. Like, it was only in my lifetime we've had this ultra connectivity to each other. Like when my mum was a kid, if she wanted to get hold of my dad, like, you gotta fucking do some ringing around. Like, you don't know, you really can't get hold of someone. They turn up when they turn up. But equally, you didn't panic. And going back to like the Viking Age, you get the people going raiding for 3-4 months, and they're, you can't ring them up and say, "How's he going today? What are you doing?" It's like they go and they come back when they can. But people didn't panic the same. Whereas now, if you can't ring your wife or your partner, I don't know if either of you are married or not, but if you can't get hold of them if you ring them, and then certainly if you ring them again in an hour and you can't get hold of them, you're like, they're dead. That's automatically where you go to. I do. I'm like, fuck, the worst things happened. It's all awful. And it's just this mentality that we've got of like, if we can't just speak to someone like that.
One of the things I would bring up in a personal just area of interest on mine is that, and I think that what you're talking to, the ability to be present and to be in nature, whether, whatever your experience or religious or non-religious views, and that, that connectivity, what that connectivity drives in your brain. I'm into neurobiology and like left brain, right brain, and it keeps us locked in the symbolic part of our brain as opposed to the real experience part of our brain. The part of our brain that allows what is called mindfulness now, or, just being present in the moment. All this connectivity, all this technology, all this stuff keeps us away from that. And it's just a really nice experience, like you say, to be forced into a place where you reconnect to this being present part. And, at least for these few days, you get to have that experience and remember, like, oh yeah, this is really nice. Mm-hmm. So.
And to add to that, I was joking with Nathan when we were talking about this festival and what it means. It's sort of like the all thing in a lot of ways, except instead of like, making rules or laws and stuff like that, what we're doing is all coming together from all parts of the bioregion and sometimes even outside of the bioregion once a year, sometimes twice, and just having a good time. And most of these people you haven't seen in a year. And it's like you just saw them yesterday, and everyone's excited to see each other. You can trust everyone there. It's just like this big family of people, and it's truly something magical. And the pandemic was brutal for everyone in the community, because this festival didn't happen for 2 years, and then it did, and it's just seeing everybody's faces after 2 years. It's like, oh my gosh, how are you? I've missed you so much. But at the same time, it's like I feel like I just saw you, and you feel close to people. It's truly wonderful.
Yeah, that is. Did you get that with your close friends? Like my core group of friends, like I could not speak to them for 6 months, and when the next time I talk to them, it's just back to it. You're back in the same place where you left, and that's when you've got like a really good friend or a really good kind of friendship group when that happens. So that's beautiful that you get that with a festival on like a bigger scale, and it means you're doing it right. You're doing things right, that you're getting that community there.
To bring up one of Anne's points, I have every year I've vended there previously, there's times that I'll just I'm like, okay, because you're vending all day for the whole festival, I'll just throw up a note on my table to be like, I'll be back in a couple of hours, right? I'm going to go listen to some bands. And I just leave my table open, right? I leave all my stuff out. I just walk away. And I have never had an issue. Not once, and I don't know anybody who has. It's the ability to be in a community that you can feel that comfortable with is amazing.
Now, the challenge is keeping that community as the festival grows, because obviously as it grows, you then bring outsiders in who haven't had that experience for a decade of knowing each other, and then you bring outsiders in who want to find this experience, but you do occasionally get some rotten eggs. Yeah,
it's true. And, I think that just because of the size of the land, we're never going to be a big festival. We don't want to be a big festival. We're going to have a pretty limited number of tickets always. And we want people to have an immersive experience. We don't want to pack in like every last person we can. And we also want to prioritize the folks who've been there before, so that we maintain that experience.
No, that's wonderful to hear, because it's easy to get caught up in how far can we go with this? How big can we go with this? Let's add an extra day, add an extra band, there's this little space over here where we can fit some more people in. It's easily done because, again, like we said, festivals aren't cheap. So you need that revenue of people paying customers to come and help put it all on.
Yeah, the cedars create a natural barrier around the stages, and the amount of people you can fit in front of the stage, so that and we're not going to take down cedars, so they're going to stay. We're and if we have to move a fern, then we dig it up and replant it elsewhere. And so keeping the festival small, or smaller than something like Midgard's Blot or Fire in the Mountains or something like that, we have to keep it small. But it's extremely intimate, and everyone that has gone in the past is so welcoming to new folks. And it's such like you'll come knowing nobody and you'll leave knowing everyone and feeling like you just made so many friends that you'll have for the rest of your life. It's a great experience.
No, it sounds it. It really does. It sounds like it's something you've got your own little niche as well, or niche if you're American, which drives me mad. But it sounds like you have got your own little thing that's just different to what these other people have, and you don't have to aspire to be the exact same as anyone else. You have your own thing of this. Just no one else is going to have the cedars, the lack of phone signal, all these things that accumulate together to create this wonderful experience.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Should we wrap this up?
Let's do it.
Do you want to? No, go on.
I'll mention real quick that our tickets go on sale on this Saturday, the 11th, at noon. So if you are considering going, hop onto our website and buy a ticket as soon as possible, just because there is a limit. Yes, noon Pacific time. I should clarify. Noon Pacific time on Saturday, the 11th. It's a limited capacity, so the sooner you can buy a ticket, the better. And we've got 2 more bands that we'll be announcing, one at the end of this month and then one in April. So there will be more bands than you see, but you just have to stay tuned for that.
There you go. What website? Where do people buy them?
cmfest.org.
There you go. Yeah, go. I mean, if you're in the area, if you're not and you can travel, definitely go and check it out. I know I'm going to have a look and see if I can come over. It's genuinely intrigued me, and I mean that with all sincerity. Like I think it sounds like a wonderful little thing you've got, and it's just Rocco's popping his head in for the last second. I'm gonna pull the
dogs are welcome, so Rocco can come.
Oh, Rocco, you can come. I don't know how he travels, so he's a little bit. He's got his white walker. He's got a white walker today. So we've been moving house, and he's quite stressed and upset. And I crashed my car the other day, and he was in the back, so I think that's shaking him up a little bit. It wasn't anything too major, just it's a little bit more than a bump, but I think it's all added to this stress, and he's just been upset for the last few days, and it breaks my heart. So he keep popping his head in. But yeah, if you can, definitely go and check out the festival. Go experience it. It does sound like you've got your own little thing that's different than everyone else. And you know what? I commend that you're brave enough to be like, yeah, you're not going to get any signal. Bring cash. Tough shit. And because you will guarantee you will get people who don't come because of that reason. There are a set group of people that just won't come because of that, or they'll come and then complain and be like, why is there no signal? But it is what it is, and it's that experience, and I do commend you for just being like, yeah, you're not going to get any signal. Oh, enjoy it. It's a selling point rather than a hindrance. Absolutely.
I also feel like it selects the people we want to come.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. You're getting the people who are willing to step away for that time. So,
exactly.
And do you want to plug your own Instagram, seeing as Nathan got to plug his?
Yeah, I'm the Red Witch on Instagram. So can give me a follow if you want and reach out to me, and we can chat about, I don't know, D&D and Nordic mythology, whatever you want to talk about, hiking in the Washington, puppies and raising a puppy, So.
Oh, I recently got into D&D. So Sophie, who does a little bit of artwork for the podcast and has been a long time listener. She's become a friend at this point. She put on a little D&D session for a group of us, and we have a little campaign that we do. And I'd never played before, and I was like, "What's this?" And it's all online. We meet up on Zoom, and we play. And it's a lot of fun. She does such a good job being the dungeon master, and yeah, I have so much fun doing it. I made a little character. It's a little bugbear, like half man, half beast type creature that resembles me. Look, because I have no imagination, just looks like me. But yeah, it's really fun. And again, that's another one of those times where you get to set aside real life. I like try to put my phone down, and I'm like, let's just be fucking nerds. Let's just be nerds together and have fun and just enjoy it. Yeah.
You should live stream sometime.
Oh yeah,
your game. Yeah.
Oh, I'm the quiet.
It's huge. D&D live stream is huge.
Yeah. Oh, I'm too quiet. I'm still learning it all. Like people are like, oh, I want to do a perception check. And I'm like, what the fuck's that? I don't get it. What do you mean you want to do what? But I'm getting there. I think, I've been doing it maybe 4 or 5 times now. And I'm coming out of my shell a little bit, and like, because it's tough. It's this whole thing, like I'm this, like I go to the gym all my life. I played rugby all my life. I'd say I'm quite confident. But then when it comes to like playing D&D with a bunch of quote unquote nerds, I'm like, I get super shy, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to do this. What do I do? So it's quite interesting. It has been a lot of fun. So anybody who gets a chance to try D&D, try it. That's what I say. All right, let's wrap this up, and then we're gonna hang out for a little bit longer and let anybody listening see if they want to ask any questions. And if they don't want to ask questions, we're just gonna have a nice little chat, a little further chat, and we can kind of talk about anything we want. And it's a little bit the Q&A after show one's a little bit more loose. We can just kind of talk about anything we want, go down any kind of rabbit holes off topic. Yeah, and just have like a little hangout, and they're available on Patreon. So if you can go and check them out and have a listen, you get all the back catalogue of every bonus Q&A episode on there. You don't just get new ones, you get everything with every pod. So there's a bunch of extra episodes you can listen to. Thank you very much. Like you said, you sold. You know what, Nathan? I said to you before, come on and sell the festival to me, and I think you both did a very good job of that. I'm genuinely sold on it, and I'm intrigued, and I think there's wonderful things to be had for being different.
Yeah, come on out, celebrate with us.
I'm gonna look. Those flights are a killer.
They are.
That's the thing. It's just such a long way, but maybe the patrons want to pay for me to go. I'm joking, but joking in quotation marks. No, okay. Let's go hang out and do a Q&A. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.
Thanks so much.